Okay, today I want to talk about um, why I probably most likely won't go on HRT. Um, I've mentioned it in recordings before, and the reasons are not too long of a list, so maybe this will be a very short recording. Um, I'm very much like open to going on it as an exploration. So it's not like I've like closed the door, but I do find as I age, that door does. I think there is a point where it's like I feel now the door is ajar, um, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do it. Um, yeah. So I'm just trying to think. I was listening to an interview from by uh, Kat the Vat. I just discovered her YouTube channel, and I haven't seen all her videos, but she interviewed Taftaj, which I don't know if I said the name right. I'm very dyslexic sometimes. Yeah, so what Taftaj was saying about her transition was, I feel like I don't know, I want to make these recordings a little higher quality where if I was to pull up an interview, I would just play the clip, but um, she was saying that I guess being trans was like come through this door is going to hurt a lot, it's full of needles, it's very painful. I'm probably butchering the way she said it. And then on the other side is your reward, it's so worth it. And then she said that it was it was better going on the other side or something, but it was like going through this door of excruciating pain, and on the other side was a cupcake. And I guess the way I interpreted it is that she was a bit underwhelmed by all of that. But then the people on the other side are like, oh well, if you don't like it, or you don't like this cupcake or whatever, you can go back. And it's like, well, I have to walk through that door of needles again. So it was it was an interesting take, and it was kind of actually inspiring for me, um, to basically to not transition. Um, and also she had done it way early in life, and like she's gorgeous, like absolutely stunning. Um, yeah, and I mean she's been part of my fantasizing experiences. And yeah, so anyway, so that in of itself was kind of like it was almost reassuring, and for my decision to not transition, and so yeah, so part of the reason is that I've really, and I know people are gonna argue like, but if I still don't know if AGP is actually a trans identity repressed so hard that it's sort of like been squeezed into sexuality as an output. That could be a thing, and it could be that um, AGP is a byproduct of extremely repressed trans identity. I'm very open to that concept, which is actually why I want to take the semen retention approach, um, to really, I think it'll bring clarity for me, in the long run, which I will talk about as I go through with it, in this. And I've had done longer retention streaks and journal it, so I'll talk about that later. But anyway, yeah, so biggest reasons are physical reasons. I don't want and want to wear a wig because I have no hair, and there's no possibility unless I went and got hair plugs in Turkey, which I don't really want to do. And so that in of itself is a big factor. Just that I just don't want to wear a wig. I just don't. It's nope, no, thank you. Um, I like feeling the air on my head, and I don't want something synthetic covering up my pores. So don't like that. So that's a big factor, honestly. Secondly, I was gonna say one reason is I'm 31, but honestly, that one's not a big factor. Because I have browsed the chickens. I've browsed Reddit for like there's like this subreddit like translator, and there's some beautiful trans people that like in their 40s they started transitioning, and it's quite inspiring, and it gives me kind of hope as I age. But yeah, I don't want to wear a wig. My height is an advantage, like a kind of a pro for transitioning because I'm 5'5", and I would that helps, and I have a pretty slender and slim build. Um, yeah, I'm like right now my body type is like I'm pretty I don't want to say skinny, but lean with pretty defined muscles, but not huge, not jacked or anything, but lean with pretty toned muscles. Um, yeah, and yeah, and then on top of that, and people are going to say different things about this. I've seen that going on HRT can cause a slew of health problems that I don't really want to. I don't want that as an obstacle in my life at the moment. I'm just not in a place right now where that can be a thing. I think I'm pretty nomadic. For the past 4 years, I haven't really had a place to call my own, and I've been kind of living and doing kind of work exchange on farms and stuff like that. And um, this is something I would consider if I was, well, I would, yeah. So just that state of lifestyle, for me, is not conducive to undergoing such an intense thing. So that's one. So perhaps I can revisit this if I find this longevity to a place that I can hunker down in and explore that. That's why I'm saying that the door is not fully closed, but it's pretty well close to being closed. Um, so so yeah, there's chickens like all around here right now. Um, so yeah, so that door is not fully closed. Yeah, so stability I think is very important to start this journey. I think especially given what I've watched lots of videos on people's journeys and you know decreasing testosterone, increasing estrogen, and having a totally different, like you're experiencing life. I think through a more emotional body, I suppose. A body being something a bit more etheric term, like uh like the emotional body versus the logical body. I'm very reason and logic oriented. I like never cry. I've cried, and I honestly I want to be able to cry. I have a friend of mine who cries all the time. He's a dude, and I'm just like, how do you? I want to be able to have this release. I just don't have it. It's very hard for me to do it. Um, I think I've cried once in like there was like a singing circle, and there was a one particular song, and the lyrics were very is the Oponopono song. But I'm not gonna get into that, but it made me totally cry while I was playing a drum, and there was like it was a pretty beautiful moment, and it's related to forgiveness and accepting of my parents. But anyway, that's maybe for a different time. Another time I've cried was probably 3 years ago with my honestly my last sort of long-term ish lover. I don't know if I've mentioned I've rarely had a relationship that lasted more than 6 to 8 months. So, but with her, she totally, I don't know. It was perhaps that feminine energy that she kind of broke down and cried, and we're cuddling, and again, maybe another side story. But because of her ability to be so vulnerable, I sort of started talking about kind of the darkness I went through in my early 20s and teen years and stuff like that, and I just broke down, and it was wow, it was incredible. Um, anyway, okay, yeah. So what I'm saying is that my lifestyle, I don't think I can take HRT with the way I'm living right now. I think I already feel very overwhelmed by everything in the world, and I think I think I need the testosterone to navigate it at the moment because I feel so overwhelmed. But maybe someone who is on the HRT journey is probably gonna say otherwise, and I'm honestly I'm willing to um, hear people out. So that's one. So the wig, that's like a cosmetic. I just don't want to wear a wig, and I don't want to be uh, on HRT and bald, and yeah. Um, what else? Um, yeah. Also, this is less of a factor now, but it was such a gigantic factor growing up. Is obviously is my parents. And I'll probably so I actually haven't brought my parents into any of my recordings yet because I don't know, I've almost distanced them from this in my thing, but I've been resentful for them for a while, and it's not even to do with AGP, it's just the way they raised me, and obviously it is a big factor because of the shame, um because I don't know, the way they navigate the world is just for me it just doesn't work. Um so okay, so what did I want to say on that? Yeah, so big fear of being kind of huge fear. Yeah, fear being one of the biggest things, driving forces here is that fear of rejection from the family, fear of being cast out, because I was dependent on them as a kid. They were my caregivers, so I think that's where the repression. And I didn't address that in last video, but it is very important. Um, so now it's less of a thing. I've not been living with them as much. As I grow older, I honestly give less of a shit about their opinion. Um, not in a malicious way, but just in a way where it's like I just like I can't honor like their belief systems because it just doesn't like align. It's not aligned kind of thing. And in some small ways, there's still a tether where I'm a little bit dependent on them. For example, this fall I found a sublet where I'm going to be living, but the other alternative was to live at my parents' for a couple months. And and anyway, I'm glad I found the sublet because now I just don't have to do that, and that's great. But I really, really, really feel I can't express, uh, not even just like AGP. I just can't express myself like artistically or anything around them. So, and in the way that they live and the house that they live in. Anyway, I didn't want to get too into that, but obviously that's a factor. And actually, the fact that I'm disconnecting from them is perhaps an opportunity to like a pro for taking HRT. But again, so yeah, stability is a big one. Um, Honestly, the hair thing is pretty significant. So that's probably honestly that's probably going to be a big one for me. Um, yeah, and my facial structure. Like if I really wanted to commit to to the role of presenting as a woman, um, yeah, I would need to get a bunch of different facial surgeries. I believe. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. One interesting thing that Kat the Vat said, she was reviewing a detransitioner, Isaac, or no, or was she? I don't know. I think I watched another video where she'd been on. It's weird. She called it being on testosterone, which I don't know. It felt weird to me because it's like she just went off estrogen and then her body re-regulated to its, and I'm gonna say this in quotations, her normal state. It's not like she was taking testosterone and just redid itself, but it was really interesting to hear how her changes and how just yeah, that was actually a really nice video to listen to because it was how she um was sort of perceiving the world through this. There's a rooster right here. It's probably gonna scream at me. Okay, yeah, it's how she was perceiving the world through and her. I guess the estrogen allowed her emotions to be more compassionate towards herself. And that's something I'm seeking to figure out how to do. I'm actually trying to be more compassionate to myself, like with pure, genuine love, self love, and self acceptance. And I thought about microdosing estrogen as I mean, for me, it was just like, how do I feel? But now it's like, oh, this could actually help me to get into a place of self love and compassion for the self. That a little bit of estrogen might just be the tool that I need. So I've never seen it that way, and that's a possibility. So, yeah, and again, another thing, and I know this one's just a shitty excuse, is the hoops I gotta figure out how to get my hands on estrogen. I actually at one point I went to a doctor and I was like, hey, can I wanted to try the topical estrogen, just to microdose that. I didn't want to get any blockers or anything, but maybe that wouldn't have done anything. I think I went on forums. They're like, if you take it just topical estrogen, like basically microdosing, you might not even experience anything because the testosterone will just um, kind of cancel it out or re-regulate it. But anyway, I'm no endocrinologist. That's what people have said. I'll explore this topic more, but I don't know. I guess my reasons aren't that big. I've just been talking in circles as I do again. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. Life's weird. It's overwhelming, and yeah, I guess that's it. It's right now. Life is overwhelming, and I just can't fathom going through such intense changes and going into such emotional states. I think right now, yeah, testosterone is my like having this male mindedness, I guess, is um, more useful for me until I find stability. Anyway, that's that.